I think all of us have a passion for something, whether it's gardening or whether it's cooking or whether it's making rosaries, whatever it might be. All of us have a passion for something. And when we find that passion, and as we're doing that, we hope somehow to invite other people into our world to show them what we do, how we do it. And in a way, I guess we open ourselves up to that because we want to invite people in. We want for them to be able to see what we're capable of doing and perhaps maybe even still joining us. How very difficult it is when in our passion, whatever that might be, we find resistance, or when we find someone who kind of brushes us off or doesn't really care, or makes it difficult for us to be able to move forward with our passion. We heard these past couple of days in the Gospels such a reality with Jesus Christ. He was curing, and obviously, by whose authority do you do that? He obviously was picking grain on the field. We're not supposed to do that on the Sabbath. And all of these oppositions and all of these things, Jesus' passion obviously is to do the Father's will. One has to conclude that at a given moment, Jesus must have said to himself, is this even worth it? Everywhere I go, I find opposition. Everywhere I go, I find people that are resistant, people that push away. And I wonder today, because this is the follow-up Gospels of the ones that we've heard, precisely Jesus moving to a different direction. Was it because he wanted maybe to meet different people, move away from everything that he was encountering at the temple area or everywhere that he found resistance at? We don't know. All we know today is that he withdrew. Those are the first words from the gospel story today. And how very interesting that in his withdrawal, he finds precisely people who have followed him. People who have either heard from him, people who have heard of him, people who themselves had been healed, or perhaps known someone who they know were healed. And they come not in a little amount of number, but in a great number. So much so that he asks his disciples, set out a boat because they're going to kill me. I have that problem sometimes on Sunday too, you know. What a very interesting thing we hear today. Can you imagine Jesus have given up, have withdrawn, and had not continued his ministry? Father, but how can you say that? He was Jesus. Yes, and he was a human being, and he got tired, and he had feelings. And if there is something in the gospel for you and for me today, is that when we continue despite the adversity, when we continue despite the resistance, when we continue despite all of the voices that continue to say what you're doing is not worth it, nobody cares, you find that God continues to send people, God continues to find ways, and God continues to use your passion in beautiful ways. I wonder how many of us at some point have thought, why do I even bother with this, whatever that this is? I wonder why I continue. Maybe it is being a mother. Maybe it is being a father. Maybe it's life. There are people that are constantly in the very silence of their hearts, suffering and struggling, sometimes feeling unheard, unwanted, unneeded. And when we hear today's gospel, we really realize very early on, Lord, your faithfulness to God the Father, your faithfulness to your ministry, despite the adversity, despite the pushback from the very religious leaders of your time, you continued your ministry. And you continued your ministry out of love for God. My brothers and sisters, if you take anything from this gospel, from this homily today, is that never give up. Never give up despite what you might think is adversity. Never give up despite whatever the pushback might be. Never give up despite what other people you perceive are uninterested or don't care. Because at the end of the day, we do it for God. Always, whatever it is. And when we do, my brothers and sisters, we begin to maybe in our own hearts begin to cry out in the very same way that the unclean spirits, no, I'm not saying anybody here is unclean spirits, you are the Son of God. I think those are the words that come to our hearts when we finally come face to face with that reality. When you and I come face to face with those moments in our lives where we are so much tired and relinquished of wanting to continue moving forward, Lord, you are the Son of God. May those words continue to echo in our hearts, in our minds, in our soul. For at the end of the day, my brothers and sisters, it is He who we serve. Amen.